Hi, Monk, and this is the Monk Way. I'm thinking of buying more Tesla, so let's look at every bullish case on Tesla, then see if they can actually go to $1,000. This is multiplying your money by 5, or 500%. This video is pure speculation on only positives. Tesla can go to $50 for all we know, but this is a very interesting stock to watch right now. Don't buy Tesla stock based on this video. Subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a like for more investing videos. I make these every day. And check out my stock market course in the description below. This is a full course with over 22 animated videos, teaching you everything there is to know about the stock markets. These are videos just like this one, so you won't be bored. Learn exactly how I pick and value a company, every resource I use, every metric I look at, and it's 50% off for the first 100 buyers. Take advantage before this coupon expires. In this video, we'll only look at the positives of Tesla. This means ignoring any problems they may have, and seeing if they could go up to $1,000. I might make a bear video on them as well. Since you're a smart investor, you know stock price doesn't mean anything. So what does $1,000 mean for Tesla? Tesla is at $190 right now, or $33.8 billion market cap. This means the whole company is worth about $33.8 billion. For Tesla to go to $1,000, this is more than 5-time increase, or 530%. This will give them a $180 billion market cap. Is this actually possible in the coming years? Historically, Tesla was highest at $383. This was a $68 billion market cap, or almost 3 times lower than our $1,000 speculation. So it would take a lot for it to break past 400 and go all the way to 1,000. Let's use actual valuation metrics to see what it takes. If you assume the price to sales of 5, which was about what they had at the highest price, this is when investors were optimistic, giving them higher prices for less revenue. Compare that to now, we're at a 1.5 price to sales, meaning investors were pricing Tesla over 3 times higher for the same amount of revenue made. But let's say optimism was up again and 5 was our PS ratio. How much revenue would Tesla need to make to have a 5 PS ratio at $1,000, or 180 billion market cap? This is as simple as dividing 180 by 5. Given us a revenue of $36 billion, Tesla will have to make $36 billion per year to justify a 180 billion market cap on optimistic buyers. These numbers are simple so far. If you want a $1,000 price tag, we need 180 billion total worth, which means they need to make $36 billion of revenue per year. Looking at their income statements, they actually made $21 billion of revenue in 2018. We only need a 70% increase in revenue to reach our goal. Of that $21 billion in revenue, 18.5 came from selling cars, 1.5 came from energy and storage, 1.4 from services and others, so we can assume selling cars will be the main priority, and increasing those sales will increase revenue. Other sources of income could help, such as self-driving taxis and insurance. We will look at those after. Let's look at future sales of the cars first. In 2018, they have 350,000 cars produced, and delivered 245,000 cars, 145 Model 3, and 100,000 Model S and Model X. This is a huge increase over previous years. They delivered as many cars as all previous years combined. If selling 245,000 cars led to $21 billion in revenue, how many cars can it sell in 2019? And will this increase revenue to $36 billion we are looking for? A 70% increase would mean about 400,000 cars delivered. So can Tesla actually produce 400,000 cars this year? Their latest earnings report says they produced 77,000 cars. This is 77,000 in 3 months. Multiplied by 4 for the whole year, we get 308,000 cars. Tesla actually says they will increase production in Q2. And in the full year, they expect deliveries of 360 to 400,000. If you use the average of 380,000 cars delivered, this is pretty close to our mark for the $1,000 price. Meaning if they could deliver 400,000 cars in 2019, this gives them revenue of close to $36 billion. So our calculations are looking good. Not counting anything else, Tesla can increase revenue to $36 billion, a 70% increase in revenue year over year, which is not far off from the previous 3 years. We saw 73%, 67%, and 82% increases. So this is something realistic. Of course, there's no way to say if investors will give Tesla a price to sales of 5 ever again. They might expect higher revenues, and the price to sales might stay around 2. If that were to happen, the price would be $72 billion market cap, or a little bit more than double the current price, $400 per share, compared to $190 right now. So as long as revenue goes up, the price should stabilize again. But again, nothing is guaranteed at this stage. Taking a quick look at electric vehicle sales, Tesla was actually 75% to 80% of all electric car sales in America, and number 1 in premium car sales in America. This means huge popularity in recent years. Judging from this, I would say 400,000 sales is realistic in 2019. I can't say for the future, especially accounting for China and Europe. But in America, Tesla is king right now. And with Model Y coming, this number should keep going up. This was calculated purely based on revenue, but the stock's price is not based on one number. So let's look at other positives that might also contribute. Right now, Tesla has 2 big plans for other sources of income. First is insurance for everyone who owns a Tesla. Assuming half of all Tesla owners gets this insurance, and assuming they're charged around $1,500 a year, we might see 250,000 cars charged $1,500 a year, giving us a new source of revenue of $375 million a year. So not the biggest increase in revenue, more than a third of $1 billion, compared to the $36 billion we expect in total. but margins for this revenue might be better, letting them keep more of this money as profits. This is a very rough estimate right now. It could be much higher or much lower, but it shouldn't be higher than $1 billion for the coming years. Another source of revenue would be robo-taxis. Tesla expects self-driving cars by 2020, so robo-taxis might come around that year. This might be optimistic, but even if it comes in 2022, robo-taxis can be a huge money earner. From the presentation, on optimistic numbers, each robo-taxi can make around $30,000 per year. There's no real way to know how many of these taxis will be available, but assuming 100,000 of their own and 100,000 of leased taxis from customers, we might see $3 billion from their own taxis and somewhere around $500 million from leased taxis. This can expand quickly depending on how realistic this is, but Tesla actually thinks they'll have 1 million robo-taxis by 2020. If that's true, that's $5 billion to $30 billion in revenue for 1 year, depending on how much of these are owned and how much are owned by actual customers. If we are optimistic, adding $20 billion in revenue, we can increase total revenue to 36 plus 20, giving us $56 billion in revenue. This would be amazing and would at least triple the price from its $190 price tag. And at 5 price to sales, Tesla could be worth $280 billion, which is an 800% increase from its current price, $1,520. This means robo-taxis would be such a huge source of revenue, it can actually rival total car sales, meaning bringing more money than actual cars sold. This is the best case scenario, but I don't see them having 1 million robo-taxis unless they meant every single Tesla out there. But again, they don't need 1 million to make good money. If this works like Elon Musk says it does, it's just a huge money maker, as long as it works. Right now this is huge speculation. We don't know if self-driving cars will work out, especially by 2020. And we don't know if self-driving cars used as taxis will be allowed. And we also don't know if they can compete with Uber and Lyft. Elon Musk actually says next year for sure. They will have over 1 million of these robo-taxis on the road, just with the software updates to all current Tesla cars. But I'm a bit skeptical on this one. I leave these bigger visions to people like Elon Musk. There are so many variables. This one source of income should not be fully accounted for as of this time, but it's fun to think about. Another variable we have to think about is Tesla's new Gigafactory in Shanghai, China. This is a huge factory making new cars, and it's definitely being built and will definitely make new cars. So let's see how many cars and revenue this can bring in. Elon Musk thinks they can increase output by 10 over the next 5 years, meaning 250,000 cars a year becomes 2.5 million a year. To do this, they will need new factories. This is definitely possible as long as they have the space. Their Shanghai factory will be ready to produce cars by this year, either by September or the end of the year. It can produce 500,000 cars a year, which is more than double current revenues, just from one factory. China will pay around the same prices as America per car. In China, electric cars sold 1.2 million in 2018. This is 3 times the sales in America. This also means more competition, so it's not all good news. There are also Chinese regulations, which might limit American companies. This is known to happen in the past, but China did lift some restrictions recently, allowing an American company like Tesla to own their factory in China. This was not possible before the trade war tensions. This also means not having to pay tariffs to import cars from America. In terms of sales in China, Tesla made $1.8 billion last year. This is about 8.5% of their total sales, and down 13% from the previous year. Not a good sign. Recent sales were not great. Model 3 was ranked over 10 in sales. This was the most recent quarter, so this is not a sure thing, but this might be due to the tariffs. This actually caused a lot of investors to sell their shares. But if sales can pick up in China due to a cheaper car and no tariffs, then I can see this Gigafactory making amazing revenue. Another positive is the self-driving technology. I actually watched Tesla's 3-hour conference, and I would recommend anyone who's investing in Tesla to watch this video on their YouTube channel. They had the guy who developed the self-driving chip on there. He explains everything, but almost nothing was understood. I assume 99.99% of people had the same thoughts. From what I did understand, development started in 2016, so this only took 3 years. This is a chip with 2 individual computer chips inside, both working together, with fail-safes in place. It processes thousands of frames per second for an accurate result. Elon says this is the best chip in the world, by a huge margin. Compared to Nvidia's chip, they can process 21 times the frames, meaning more data processed per second, keeping you safer. If this is the best chip in the world, Elon says it would take 3 years to design something similar, and by then, Tesla will have a chip 3 times faster. They are currently about halfway done with the next gen of chips, meaning they might be the leader in self-driving hardware and software. What stood out was what Elon said. Every Tesla sold currently is capable of full self-driving, meaning these chips will only need a software update to start self-driving. This was the recent developments. But from this point, every Tesla will have these chips, so cars sold in 2019 will be fully capable of self-driving when the software is complete, possibly by 2020. Let's talk about the software. To summarize a very complicated presentation, self-driving software needs real-life testing. The more of these they have, the more situations they can read. The software is basically learning from any new situation, so trillions of test runs will be out millions. And simulation tests are not as good, because you can't simulate real life yet, and unique situations only come up in real life. Whoever has more test hours in the real world is technically ahead of everyone else in self-driving software. The self-driving software is basically an image recognition software. Once it gets enough examples of a certain image, it can recognize what to do in response. For example, a red car would be recognized as something not to hit, and white lines in the road is something to follow, and a bicycle next to you is a human. Tesla's fleet of cars would be used to retrieve these images fast. There's over 425,000 cars on the road, capable of training the software with 8 cameras, not something other companies can achieve in real life. This also means that future Tesla cars are constantly supplying new data to Tesla with their cameras, a very good source of information, which is worth a lot. The presentation is very impressive, so I have a lot more confidence in self-driving cars in the next few years. Elon also believes in the future, actual drivers might be illegal, which makes sense since computers should be 1,000 times safer. I do believe Tesla is ahead of their competitors right now, but this is something we can only be sure of when competition comes out and Tesla is fully autonomous. Tesla has a huge upside from this point. We have a lot of new revenue sources coming: insurance, Tesla taxis, self-driving cars, and a bigger factory. Car production is going up too. As long as most of these things are going as planned, the going as planned part is the hardest thing to achieve. Tesla prices should go up from here, even to $1,000. But this is an extremely high risk stock. I can't recommend anyone to buy this right now, so only use this video as entertainment. If you learned something today, make sure to check out Monk's Market Mastery, a full course on the stock markets, with over 22 animated videos just like this one, teaching you everything you need to know. This includes stock market resources, valuation metrics, strategies for long-term and short-term trading, and small details like the best brokerages. This is a lot of value in one course. Perfect if you hate reading books about investing, because these are fully animated videos, keeping your attention. 50% off for the first 100 buyers. Don't miss out. There's a link in the description below. Subscribe, hit the bell, and leave a like for more investing videos. I make them every day. Keep watching to learn about the best stocks the Monk way.